and that the projects were 8. Now, Rural Electrification Agency said that the project, the pilot scheme of the project is 9 universities and 1 university teaching hospital in Obafemi Awolowo University. So why is it that they didn't have clear facts before engaging in investigative hearing?
Clearly, according to everything that you have now said, you see it as a clear issue of misrepresentation on the part of the National Assembly. Now, I want to ask you, if that is what you believe, then what do you believe their motive would be for doing that? I
can't be in their minds to say. But all I want to say is the legislature needs to be careful. If you remember that Section 5 of the Constitution talks against corrupt practices and abuse of power. And if the legislature fails to do thorough investigation before they go into this investigative hearing, it will mar the integrity of the legislature. It will also erode the confidence of the public. It will deal with the anti-corruption struggle. Don't forget that Section 25 of the ICPC Act of 2000 is against misleading information. This energizing education project was ab initio. The Senate raised the misinformation first when they said that the money that the Rural Electrification Agency was demanding for was just for street lights. And in the presentation of the Rural Electrification Agency, you could see that street light is just one small component of that project.
No, but I'm just wondering, if you say, I mean, first and foremost, some people will say it's an investigative hearing. It's a part of their investigation, and it is within their powers to be able to conduct such hearings. So why would you say that first is an abuse of power, and why do they have to finish doing investigation before they conduct an investigative hearing?
No, what I mean is, if you want to put an allegation on me, there must be basis. When the issue of 42 billion was raised, you know, when you read it on the paper, you say, these people have committed fraud. That a legislature doesn't give you the power to falsely allege things on people. Before you begin to allege, you must have some basic information. For instance, the day that that public hearing, I had expected that the legislature will provide evidence to say, yes, this 42 billion is from sources we have. But there's nothing like that. And even when the Minister of Power said there was nothing like that, they didn't counter it. Rather, what they now did is that they are looking at the procedure for getting the thing. Now, the procedure, you are now shifting from the main issues to another issue.
I'm wondering, though, when you talk about rural electrification and they tell you that we have projects in Lagos, we have projects scattered in many places, but they have them mostly in universities. Is rural electrification really following its own mandate? Wouldn't you have questions about that?
I'm not holding briefs for them.
I understand.
But I tell you, my passion for this project is based on certain facts. Number one, remember that most of the universities are located at rural areas and they are off-grid areas. Most of the universities run mostly on generating sets.
But definitely not that of University of Lagos. I mean, I hope the project for rural electrification that they carried out in Lagos was not at the University of Lagos.
Yeah, but if you even look at that, if you're saying because Lagos, you may say because Lagos is a town where it is. The location of Lagos University may be in the town.
I attended,
but listen. Yes. What is this electricity for? The electricity is for research, academic work. The electricity is for security. Illumination of the environment is an issue. And don't forget again, most of our leaders in this country, their children are schooling abroad, where they have uninterrupted power supply. So irrespective of, if you use Lagos University alone, how many states do we have? And how many of the universities are located in urban areas?
Just before, Chamberlain's about to come in now, but just before he comes in, it's important to state here that we did invite Honorable Dan Asukwo, who is the Chairman House Committee on Power, and he only pulled out of the program this morning, citing inconveniences. So we're hoping that he will be able to give the side of the House of Representatives when he's able to finally make it on the program. But Chamberlain, it's over to you.
Well, yes, indeed. We're hoping that, who knows, at a later date, he will be able to be on the program because they insist that the ministry or the minister has got questions to answer. But if I could ask you, Mr. Okorie, from your submissions, I mean, from what we've seen out there, clearly there is rift between the House Committee and the Ministry of Power. But listening to what you're saying and knowing that, look, the ministry needs to work with the House, that committee or the House that supervises them, to ensure that they deliver on their promise. Do you think that the way things are going on now, and if your views reflect that of the ministry, can they ever work together so that Nigerians can get that sector, deliver the promise to the country?
In fact, this was our request. We presented a memorandum at that public hearing. And our request was that the House Committee on Power should please, for whatever reason, help to conclude their investigation so that this project will not be frustrated. We said that. We believe they need to work together. But remember, the issues I raised here, we didn't